So AI is lying to you. It's not that smart. Well, not as smart as you think. Everyone's read the headlines where AIs are passing multiple exams, and they all come from these two papers. But there's two things I want to highlight in these papers. One, they had to modify the questions to make it easier for AI to answer. And two, both papers make mention of the fact that the AI hallucinated. In fact, let me pull a quote from the paper. When GPT essay questions were incorrect, they were dramatically incorrect, often gaining the worst scores in the class. Have you ever had an experience like this when you watch a video and it pronounces the power of AI? It can do all of these things and you actually go to try it and it can't? Have you tried ChatGPT, Midjourney, or one of the other countless AI tools for a specific purpose or a specific goal and it failed miserably? I'm going to explain why that is and why AI might not be as smart as everyone claims. Then I'm going to share my experience trying to get ChatGPT 4 to write this book, which, no joke, over 100,000 people have read already. Now, I've had a paid subscription for so many of these tools, but whenever I have a specific purpose to accomplish, none of these tools can do it. I'm sure many of you have had the same experience. It takes longer to coerce the tool into doing what you want than it is to do it the old way. And this is where your mind is lying to you about AI. It's telling you that you need a better prompt. It's telling you didn't ask in the right way. And then you watch another clickbait video and you become even more determined to make it work. Because the video tells you this is the worst AI is ever going to be. We're almost at level 4 AGI. Do you ever roll your eyes every time someone says to you, you can do that in 2 minutes with an AI? Trust me, I'm an author. I tried to get GPT-4 to write a book. The actual original cover before I got a book deal was from an AI. But, and this is the important part, it wasn't the cover I wanted. It was one that looked good enough. This is the cover I wanted. It's actually designed by a designer who designed all of these books here, including the biggest military sci-fi series in the world. And that's the point. The original cover was bad, not because it didn't look good, but because it wasn't what I wanted. And this is the key point I'm trying to make. I thought long and hard about how to explain this next part. These generative AI tools are amazing and they create some awesome images. Problem arises when you're looking at a demo and it's designing a cool image, but not a specific image in a specific way. These AI tools were trained to make humans approve of the image, to design something that looks cool. Same with the generative text AIs. When you don't have a specific goal in mind, they are amazing. But when you want to achieve something specific, they absolutely suck. And I'm not romanticizing humans either. It's not like we have some special capability that AI couldn't possibly ever get. The best analogy I can give you is with a deck of cards. Asking an AI to do something for you is like randomly generating 5 cards. They might pick 5 cards randomly, and this might be amazing because statistically you have probably never picked these 5 cards out in a row like that before. But sometimes you don't want any 5 cards. You want some specific cards. Say you want a joker. With a human, you can ask for a joker. With AI, you've just got to keep rolling the dice over and over again. And if you get half a joker, then you want the other half to also be a joker, and you've got to roll again. And don't tell me it's the prompts or the keywords, because I watched the TED Talk by the inventor of OpenAI, and if you go back and look at the actual demo and have a look at the recipes and the image that the AI designed, they are terrible. Absolutely terrible. And that's my point. The AI is trained to make the demo look good. One of the biggest flaws with humans when it comes to things like this is how easy it is for us to create narratives inside our head. Marketers know this, and that's why Kickstarter is such a popular tool. It allows you to get pre-orders for something you haven't done. Did you know there are more orders for the Cybertruck than cars Tesla has actually made? 2 psychologists/economists spent the better part of their working career trying to understand why humans overvalue something before we actually have it. We are really good at creating narratives in our head that are better than the actual thing. One of my favorite quotes of all time is from Peter Thiel. It says, they promised us flying cars and all we got is Twitter, which leads me back to ChatGPT. Now I'm an author. Of course I tried to get GPT-4 to help me. Everyone was telling me to try it and it failed miserably. Jasper, Whisper, Writer, and every time I hit the same problem. When you ask it to write a poem about aliens in the style of Shakespeare, it will hit it out of the park. And there's a reason for that. 1, you don't know what Shakespeare sounds like. 2, even though that question sounds specific, it's extremely vague. And 3, this is probably the most important part. You probably don't have a clear vision inside your head of what the AI should produce. And this is why so many of these tools look amazing in the demos, but add very little value in the real world. It's because when you don't have a clear goal in mind, the AI is great at tricking you into thinking it's done a good job. But when you do have a goal in mind, it's a real struggle to coerce the AI to do what you want. I bet a lot of you are like me and you signed to OpenAI as soon as it came out. Now I bet a bunch of you have canceled your subscription. I don't have any data to back this up, but I find it very interesting that OpenAI were very forthcoming with subscriber count when they first launched. But now that they've been going for a while, it's impossible to find a number verifying how many paying subscriptions they currently have. This is an unrepresentative sample, but everyone I know has canceled it. None of this is to to say that AI won't get there. I'm not saying that it's not useful, but I am saying it's not as useful as the hype would suggest. Now, if you're curious about how AIs are built, there's a video playing next about the 5 different algorithms that AI companies generally use in order to build their systems.
Mars isn't safe anymore, one of the holographic heads shouted on the conference call. Trillian von Nickel had to turn her head to see who was speaking because there were so many people holographically projected around the enormous circular table. The fact she was seeing faces she'd never met before meant this meeting had consequences. Trillian found herself disagreeing with many of the disembodied floating heads, although she knew their opinions didn't carry much weight. Peter was paying for everything, and it was his decision to make. So she asked him, "Should we escape?" Dr. Peter Atreus was almost 90, but he didn't look it. Perhaps his dark skin gave him an advantage over some of the other team members whose lighter skin meant they looked twice his age, despite being half it. Trillian thought he was living proof of the saying, "Black don't crack." Peter looked down as if he was unsure about what he was about to say. "Just because Earth elected a Luddite doesn't mean we have to leave Mars today. We're not ready." Trillian shook her head. It always amused her when her colleagues used the word Luddite. She found it ironic that earlier today she had to wheel into the conference room a physical screen just because Peter refused to have a holographic projection recorder installed in his home office. "Peter, let's not call them Luddites. I'm sure to them we're the Luddites." Atlas Tupu turned toward her. He was just as old as Peter, but much better looking. The two of them had worked together for years to create this mission. "What should we call them, then?" he challenged. She shrugged, not wanting to get into this argument again. "Never mind." She watched Peter's mouth move, but no sound came out. "You're on mute, old man." The red mute symbol disappeared from his screen. "There's nothing to fear in the Fermian Party. As with all political parties, they had to use extremist language to please their voter base. They might be the biggest political party on Earth, but this is Mars." She could understand half the group's fear. Most everyone on the conference call would eventually become a von Neumann probe. The plan was to upload everyone's mind into spaceships to go and explore the galaxy. Yet the Fermian Party made a campaign promise to shut down this program. It was true that they all hated the Fermian Party, but there wasn't much they could do. Besides, she didn't want to leave yet. She hadn't said goodbye. She wasn't ready. The arguments began to get heated. Even Icarus started yelling. Icarus Kishida was a short Japanese man who loved getting up to mischief. "Those are not extremist beliefs anymore, Dr. Atreus. We must accept the fact that these views are now mainstream political views on Earth. Killing Mars is now a mainstream talking point." The atmosphere was getting intense as different people began yelling on the call. Trillian tuned out, only hearing bits and pieces of it as her mind wandered to the idea of leaving today. She was a backup to the backup explorers, and now they spoke like she might be getting her own spaceship. It had felt as though she would never leave Mars, but now that politics were involved, suddenly she might be traveling the galaxy. Did she even want to leave? "I won't calm down," Atlas said, his raised voice piercing through Trillian's train of thought. "Yes, it's unlucky that they can't afford to visit another planet because their subscription costs in the simulation are too high, but that doesn't mean they have to stop us from traveling the Milky Way. Atlas, don't straw man. Peter, I'm not straw-manning their situation. It's the truth, and it's exactly why we need to launch the colony ships ASAP. If we don't have independent colonies of humans, then we are at risk of lunatics like these destroying us." Trillian struggled to concentrate on Peter's reply as she was distracted by something moving behind him. She strained her eyes, searching the darkened room for the source of the movement, then gasped as a murky figure crept slowly into view, a barrel of a gun directed at Peter. Trillian jumped to her feet, white with fear as she pointed at the screen. "Dr. Atreus! Dr. Atreus!" The room went silent as everyone noticed the man, helpless to do anything. Yet they could see everything, hear everything. The gunman was unaware he was on camera. "Peter, You're breaking multiple treaties outside of the metaverse, he said darkly. You left us no choice. Peter spun around. You have no authority here, he bellowed in surprise.